Well, good day everybody, and welcome back to the High Desert Gardener channel. So today I just wanted to show you around, show you where I planted the plants, show you how I got the garden set up here. We seem to be through with the frost, I hope. So I've got everything planted. I'll post a little bit of what sort of a garden that I had last year. Actually wasn't a garden, it was a few tomato plants in just a few pots. So I'll show a short clip of that. And even though my garden here is very small, very minimal, compared to what I did last year, it's huge. So I think it'd be interesting for you guys to see that progress. So I'm going to start off right here on the porch where I got some fig trees. Alright, so I got a hanging basket of strawberries, which I've yet to hang, but here are the fig trees. They're doing very well. Okay, all doing well. In the mini greenhouse, I have yet to take down the plastic just in case we get some cold snaps. But everything in here is doing really well. Back here in the corner, we've got the giant Belgium. And yes, he's set fruit already. But, you know, he's actually a lot taller than he looks. He's buried about 1.5 feet in the ground. He's sticking out of the ground at least 2 feet. So over here we've got the pink ox heart, which has got some flowers, has yet to set fruit, which is fine. Then we've got the beefsteak, again some flowers. I'd like to see him put on some growth before setting any fruit. We've got another giant Belgium over here, which I think I'll just throw in another section of the garden or give it away. And then right up front here we've got the boxcar Willie. So I had to start him kind of late from seed, because initially I had planted 2 boxcar Willies in here because they were just getting too big for the pots. They were getting too big to keep inside, so I had planted them out here. And unfortunately, even with the mini greenhouse, they did get severe frostbite and they did die, so I pulled them out. So I had to start this guy late, but you know, he's still, for this time of year, still doing really good. So can't wait to get some boxcar Willie tomatoes. I've heard that they are the greatest. So, and then over here we've got a cherry tomato that I just bought the seeds from my local Home Depot here. I can't remember exactly what kind of seeds they were. It's a red cherry tomato of some sort. I've got a cage around them because I'm not going to single stem, you know, I'm not going to prune him back to a single stem. As far as I know with cherry tomatoes, it's just best to let them bush out and do their thing. So some people were wondering, well, what are the suckers and where do you prune? Well, here's a sucker, and here's a leaf, here's a stem, here's a sucker. Pretty easy to identify, you know, and he's suckering out at every joint. You just want to stay away from the top. If you ever do any pruning, don't prune too high, because when I was new, I made the mistake of accidentally cutting off the leader. Alright, so this is the single stem method, and with my pink ox heart here, even though I was trimming away all the suckers, you can see this was not a sucker. He didn't split at a leaf junction. He just decided to split in 2. Well, when he did that, I decided to cut the leader off on that side so that I could just continue on with a single stem. I didn't want to cut down here because, you know, it's real thick down there, so it's easier just to take the leader off the top here. And but yeah, you can see with the giant Belgium how the pruning back to the single stem goes. I know some people like to let their tomato plants branch out a little bit and plant them real deep so that they can just grow more roots from each branch. However, with the square foot garden method and pruning these back to a single stem, I can fit all these varieties of tomatoes in this box, but also if this plant happens to get a disease, it's not connected to this plant, and so this plant will still do fine. And seeds are free, so why not just plant additional tomatoes? You don't, you know, some people like to let their tomatoes bush out, and that's fine. I prefer just to plant more tomatoes, and I'll show you later on in the season how they do. Okay, let's move to some other areas of the garden. I got a serrano pepper here. I didn't have room for him in the beds, but I did have that nice big pot. Oh, by the way, if you've seen my videos on the lawn is doing very well. Very, very, very well. Oh, and there's the arch trellis I built. If you haven't seen that video, you might want to check it out. Let's stop off over here where we've got the compost pile where I put the grass clippings, prunings, scrap food material. And watch out, Am I a Gardener, because I have planted my pumpkins. That's right. These guys are going to be some winners. Actually, probably not, because they're single ply pumpkins and they just get, they're the small ones. But over here I did 3 rows of corn. This is where my compost pile sat all winter. So I know there's a lot of nutrients leached into the ground here. I tried to do corn last year. It was a complete failure, so I'm looking forward to doing it right this year. Alright, over here you can see the sugar snap peas have come up. We've got a bunch of seeds that have blown off the elm trees. So I'm going to have to clean out those seeds. Those elm trees are like weeds and they will sprout. So over here we've got red bell pepper. I know people will say, well, red bell pepper, green bell pepper, same thing. Not true. Depending on the color of bell pepper you get, that bell pepper is the ripest at that particular color. So if you buy green bell peppers, that bell pepper is the ripest when it's green. If you buy red bell peppers, that bell pepper is the ripest when it's red. Could you eat it when it's green? Sure. It's not going to be as good, but you could. Alright, here is banana pepper. He's already setting a couple fruit. Most people would trim the fruit off and let them get some plant growth, but I've never grown banana peppers, never had one, so I'm just letting them do its thing. Here I've got my cubanole pepper from Ray from the Praxis and Voodoo Garden channels. So thank you for those seeds. I'm looking forward to growing the cubanole. Back in the corner we've got some sort of a chili pepper. I don't know exactly what variety or what kind, because I ordered the seeds from China and they didn't say, but they did say that these chili peppers get between 18 and 20 inches in length, so looking forward to trying those. I've got my green cucumber here. He was doing really well. He was one of the first plants that I planted out. It just so happens on the day that I planted him, we had our last frost that evening, where it got down to 29, 30 degrees and got severe frostbite. But as you can see, he is he is coming back. So he's not dead. I'm sure he's going to bounce back just fine. But he used to look just like this cucumber over here. He was that healthy. Here is my lemon cucumber, which I planted a few days later than the other cucumber. But it's amazing just how the matter of a few days can make. There's another cherry tomato. I had a spare, so I am going to prune this cherry tomato back to a single stem as I run him up the trellis. So it'll be interesting to see what the difference is between this cherry tomato that's going to be pruned back to a single stem and the other cherry tomato that is not. Alright, so here is some more banana pepper. I had a feeling that I'd really like the banana peppers, so I grew lots of them. Here's another banana pepper. The only thing I regret is not growing jalapenos. I do really like those. So here's another red bell pepper. This one is actually the oldest, started back in January at some point, but he came under some sort of a bug attack inside. I don't know if it was aphids or what it was. So I ended up pruning him way back, but he's bouncing back just fine. He does have the most extensive root system compared to the other two bell peppers that we saw in the other bed. Here's another one of those chili peppers. This guy just really took off right from the beginning, even though he was planted around the same time as the other chili pepper that I've shown you. He's, as you can see, 3 times bigger. And the thing I've noticed about some peppers is even though you prune them when they're young to get the stem to thicken up, when I pruned them, you know, the stem did thicken up a little bit, but not very much. So we'll see how that works out. I may end up having to stake him up or something like that if he starts falling over. But I pruned him down once, and I didn't want to prune him again and again. So we'll just see. Hopefully he does fine. Hopefully the stems thicken up, that sort of thing. So the last thing that I have, originally the pumpkins that I showed you on the other side of the wall over here, originally I had planted 4 seeds, and these were seeds that I saved from a pumpkin that we purchased at the store several months back. So I didn't really know if they were going to germinate, so I planted 4 seeds. They all germinated. Yesterday I left the 2 that were furthest apart, and I dug out the other 2 that were here, being very careful not to disturb the roots, because I heard pumpkins don't like their roots disturbed. This area over here, the previous owners had a chicken coop, a little chicken coop here. So the dirt here was just full of nutrients, so I decided to plant those 2 pumpkins here, and we'll just let the vines from those pumpkins, you know, run out here where there really isn't anything but weeds, so they'll have plenty of room to spread out. And these guys, I'll run the vines up over this wall and let them spread out here. So it's kind of a mess back here. This is where I keep my tree clippings. I have a beautiful lilac bush. The reason there's just pea gravel here is because the previous owners had a swimming pool, which is why there's also sand and pea gravel back here. But it's a perfect spot for the raised beds, and this lawn is definitely staying here. Even if I run out of space for raised beds, I mean, I have more than enough space than I will ever need for raised beds. Not to mention the fact that we're going to have a greenhouse back over here, which will get plenty of light from the south side and the west side. Thank you guys for joining me. If you like to see what I've got going on here, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and have a good day.